Welcome back to HPL. We saw Ek0p win Game 2 of the series and tie it at 1-1 with an astounding 24 damage there in the last turn to win that.
Yeah, really understanding his game plan coming into it too. Played a warrior deck. It was control. Kaldi was playing face hunter. Was able to use shield slams and executes very early on to take care of the pressure on his own board. It bought him just enough time to get to that turn 10, or to get that 10-mana turn, get the cool Taskmaster, and deliver that 24. But Game 3 is getting underway, guys. Kaldi versus Ek0p.
And I can't wait to see how these guys can adjust. They've been adjusting to each other back and forth. It's like a little bit of a boxing match. You know, jab here, a big uppercut somewhere. I want to see the first person that lands a big uppercut here.
Yeah, I expect Jab to be the first person that lands a big uppercut. You know, given the name anyway. Kaldi's going back to Druid, and you know, I love that he's going back to it too. He's found success with his deck in Game 1. Why not queue it up for Game 2? Now that Ek0p's queued up Hunter again here too, so he does have seeming like he's got a little bit of a read here on what Kaldi's going to do. He seems to be one step ahead at every stage of the way, but turn 1 Wild Growth and turn 2 Shade, not a bad start.
Yeah, we're going to see Kaldi again with an early Shade of Noxramas. It was very integral in him winning Game 1 against Ek0p.
Yeah, Haunted Creeper is going to be the play here. Wouldn't mind Knife Juggler either. But I think that Knife Juggler going into turn 4, you know, if your opponent has piloted Shredder, it's not a very good play into something like Knife Juggler. So if they have something like Keeper of the Grove, though, you can get a little bit punished for it. So, you know, double-edged sword in that regard, but I like that he's going for the Haunted Creeper first and, you know, maybe utilizing it later on. Animal Companion, fantastic here. Leok's not that bad either. It's going to push in some extra damage here and not necessarily a threat that Kaldi wants to take out.
Yeah, Kaldi does have a swipe here, so if he wants to, he can unveil the Shade. Yeah, he's going to do this and just clean up this board here. Yeah. You've got to take this turn. This is one of your better turn 4s. He could have used, you know, Wrath or Hero Power plus Wild Growth if he wanted any combination of the 3 this turn, but you've got to take the really good swipe turns when you get them against Hunter.
And now Ek0p, you know, doesn't have a 3-drop to couple. Doesn't have a 2-drop to couple with his Knife Juggler, would have a 50% chance to take out this Shade of Noxramas. He's going to have to settle for Animal Companion, and you got to believe he's feeling some heat right now. He does have Savannah Highmane in his hand, so has a very strong power turn moving into turn 6, but it's a matter of whether or not he can get this done. I mean, he's even looking at Unleash the Hounds just to kill the Shade. I can't blame him for this either. You know, it's a card for card in this situation. Kaldi's already made very good use of the Shade of Noxramas, and it's certainly not something you want to leave on the board to continue to hit you turn after turn.
Yeah, it's a hard decision for Ek0p to make, but we can see that it's actually going to work out pretty well for him. Kaldi doesn't have anything really to punish him with next turn going into 5 mana. He's just going to have a Wild Growth Hero Power turn unless he draws something really good.
Yeah, I would even anticipate if he drew something like a 5-drop, he might favor the Wild Growth anyway to try to get to the Ancient Allure a little bit quicker. So this turn is going to be very critical to see how he draws. It's Ragnaros, and honestly, I think he's very relieved with a turn like this. Gets to utilize second Wild Growth, gets in an extra Hero Power here, and now he's going into, on his turn 5, he's going to have 7 mana available, and this is really a spot where Druid can massively punish its opponents by having these higher end drops earlier in the game than you would normally expect.
Yeah, this Ancient Allure is going to be great. Ek0p's going to have a pretty decent turn himself here, though. He gets to do Knife Juggler, Animal Companion, or Mad Scientist, Animal Companion, whichever one he decides to
Mad Scientist was such a beautiful draw in this position. He's going to be able to fetch a Freezing Trap out of his deck, summon a random Huffer, of course, is what Animal Companion seems to read.
It feels like that's what it always is.
So he gets in the 4 points of damage, and the Mad Scientist, again, this will put pressure on the drops that Kaldi's going to have. He recognizes that super early on, and he's gonna make sure that he can take out everything.
Yeah, this is something I've really liked from Kaldi. This is just a great turn for him. He gets to trigger the trap and remove both of Ek0p's minions here. Just a great turn. He gets to actually keep the tree token here, so he's going to get to use it again this game. Now, Ek0p has a really good turn 6 in Savannah Highmane, but you got to love how Kaldi has been spending his Force of Natures here in this matchup, just controlling the board to make sure that he gets to those later turns and can really punish.
Yeah, using them very defensively here. This Ragnaros shot is so important too. If it doesn't hit this Savannah Highmane, he had Web Spinner to potentially run back into the Ragnaros and push for damage after that. But in this spot, you know, it's a different kind of game now. Ek0p is very likely to start pushing for damage here. He's got 7 mana worth of cards that are beautifully here. He drew Loatheb, so next turn he's going to be able to shut out something like Swipes or Wraths. How Kaldi adjusts to this position, I mean, because when there's
both the knives go to the face, that is so big for Ek0p here.
Yeah, it's so important to be pushing that damage. I mean, these Ragnaros shots, they're likely to hit minions in this spot, but they're not always going to get the job done.
That Innervate's actually a pretty good draw for Kaldi. He's got a ton of options to it, but he could actually Ancient of Lore and Druid of the Claw in this turn now.
Yeah, I have to suspect that he's going to want to play some Wrath here to really start cleaning up this board. So Wrath is going to come in on Houndmaster here. Wrath is going to come in on Knife Juggler, and he's going to run this charge into a 4/4 minion. Very much understanding that he can't afford to put a taunt down, given that Ek0p has played Hunter's Mark already, and that, you know, maybe he's fearing something like Kill Command. This whole board gets cleaned up. If Ek0p doesn't draw some very strong beast off of this Web Spinner and then follow that up with better cards, this game is quickly getting out of control, as Ragnaros is one of the biggest threats to a Hunter deck.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Ek0p just actually rolling his eyes there in the turn. He went from being in a great position to losing almost his entire board. He had a 50-50 shot of losing his entire board here this game.
Yeah,
now that Explosive Trap, not a bad pickup, you know, if he wants to use all of his mana this turn without using his hero power.
Yeah, it's a very ugly draw in my opinion, this spot, because what he needs is just threat development at this point. Every single point of damage is going to matter, but a lot of it, you know, factors into exactly where these Ragnaros shots land. The fact that he got a web spinner off the web spinner, not that big of a downfall here, but Kaldi's got Ancient of Lore to heal himself back up. He can continue to keep the web spinner in check, and then the Ragnaros shots are going to keep firing away.
Yeah, this Ragnaros shot is going to be a big deal here. If it goes to Ek0p's face, I think that's the least, the one that Kaldi wants the least out of here. I think he wants it to pick off one of these minions. Hopefully, this 5/5 for him here, hitting Lothab. Ooh, it goes to Ek0p's face. Ek0p's down to 12 now, though.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad of a spot because Ek0p is very unlikely to trade it his Ancient of Lore. He's got Keeper of the Grove in his hand, so he can just go ahead and silence his Ragnaros and just attack through for damage. If Ek0p doesn't trade here, this is it.
Is this going to be the second time this match that Ragnaros attacks for the win?
It could possibly be. I suspect Kaldi's going to check for this trap right away with his Ancient of Lore. Even if it is Freezing Trap, he will get 5 health back from it. So a fantastic spot for him. And then after that, the silence is going to end this game, man. Kaldi looking like, if he sequences this properly, this is 2-1 for Kaldi.
Yeah, I can't believe we might get to see Ragnaros attack twice in the same matchup. I mean, you can go entire months playing a Ragnaros attacking with it once. We might see it twice here in the span of 3 games.
Yeah, I've really not had many opportunities to ever silence mine because they always get big game huntered. But, you know, the fact that we're seeing it twice in one match, this is very, very rare.
Mine never get big game hunter because they always just kill my opponent right away. It can be the forward one. I'm just going to hit it every time.
Just always shoots the face. Going to go in Savage Roar here, too. Pat his stats a little bit. Ek0p, you can see that he's uncomfortable from this board position. Everything got checked from him early on. Kaldi's actually going to kill the Lothab here, and then 10 crashes into the face. So.
Taking a little extra damage here for no reason. Just, you know, a little flare from Kaldi there. It's always nice to see players messing around with each other. You never know. You might get under your opponent's skin, and you might mess up somewhere. You know, it's always nice to kind of, you know, poke and prod your opponent a little bit, put them on tilt.
Especially the ones that are prone to it a little bit. We've seen Kaldi react in the past to some circumstances, you know, with, you know, very big like size and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. But for the most part, he's remained cool. Now, a player like Ek0p, he's known to be emotional in the past, and that's why it's so important for him to keep his cool and make sure he's making logical decisions. Don't let that affect you. If he lets that happen, he might not play as well in games 4 and 5 here. He cannot afford to have that happen. He needs 2 straight to win this match.
Yeah, he's going to need 2 straight to win this match. I got to believe Ek0p's going to keep his cool. Big story for me so far, Druid 2-0 today. We've seen it getting queued up a lot here in HPL, and its win percentage just continues to climb. It seems like the deck to play right now in HPL.
Yeah, certainly could be. Maybe Ek0p's going to go over to Druid a little bit, show Kaldi what he's got up his sleeve. Something we haven't seen, though, is Big Game Hunter. If you guys want to check out the deck lists that have been played in HPL, maybe specifically those Druid decks, again, with a massive win rate so far, you can head over to pvplive.net and see exactly what everyone's played, their full competitive histories, stats, their strategies, and more importantly, how they play those strategies. So, guys, when we come back, it's match point for Kaldi, and Ek0p needs 2 straight. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.